How long can a human mind endure absolute, crushing isolation? If you are locked in a room, you might last months. But what if your room is a 24-foot fiberglass skiff, and the floor is the infinite, deep blue void of the Pacific Ocean? On November 17, 2012, an experienced fisherman named JOSÉ Salvador Alvarenga set out from a village in Mexico. He was accompanied by a young, inexperienced deckhand named Ezequiel Cordoba. They were planning a routine 2-day deep-sea fishing trip. But a massive, unpredicted storm swept across the coast. Winds of 50 miles per hour battered their tiny boat. The waves were towering, smashing into the hull like concrete walls. Their outboard motor died. Their radio was shorted out by the heavy rain. In a matter of hours, the ocean current grabbed their powerless boat and dragged them away from the Mexican coast, straight into the open expanse of the Pacific. They were not just lost. They were entering a 6,000-mile stretch of ocean completely devoid of human life or landmasses. For the first few weeks, the reality of their situation was too horrific to process. They had no fresh water. No shade from the relentless, blistering sun. To survive, Alvarenga had to rely on his primal instincts. He learned to catch sea turtles with his bare hands, dragging them into the boat. They drank the turtles' blood to quench their severe dehydration. He caught small triggerfish and seabirds, breaking their necks and eating them entirely raw, gagging on the feathers and bones. He learned to drink his own urine when it didn't rain for weeks. But survival is not just physical, it is a brutal mental war. The young deckhand, Ezequiel, couldn't adapt to the raw, bloody diet. He became violently ill from eating raw seabird and contracted a severe infection. More importantly, his mind broke. The sheer vastness of the ocean crushed his will to live. He began refusing to eat, refusing to drink. He slipped into a delirium, talking to family members who weren't there. After 4 agonizing months adrift, Ezequiel died. Alvarenga was now completely, utterly alone. For 6 days, he couldn't accept the reality of Ezequiel's death. He kept the rotting corpse in the boat, talking to it every day, asking it how it slept, telling it stories. He was standing on the absolute precipice of complete insanity. Realizing he was losing his mind, he finally pushed Ezequiel's body into the ocean, watching his only companion sink into the deep. For the next 10 months, Alvarenga floated in total isolation. His hair grew wild, matted with salt and fish blood. His clothes rotted off his body. He spent his days hiding from the sun under an overturned fiberglass cooler. He hallucinated entire cities floating on the horizon. He imagined walking down the streets of his hometown, ordering massive meals at his favorite restaurants. He nearly threw himself into shark-infested waters multiple times, just to end the psychological torture. But a deeply ingrained survival instinct and the thought of his young daughter kept him in the boat. He tracked the passing of time by watching the phases of the moon. He survived violent typhoons, rogue waves, and the constant, silent stalking of massive sharks that bumped against the bottom of his boat. Finally, on January 30, 2014, he saw a mountain rising from the ocean. It wasn't a hallucination. It was the Ebon Atoll, a tiny, remote coral reef in the Marshall Islands. Alvarenga abandoned his boat and swam to the shore, crawling onto the beach naked, emaciated, and screaming. He had been lost at sea for an impossible 438 days. He had drifted over 5,500 miles across the entire Pacific Ocean. Doctors who examined him were baffled. He was malnourished and suffered from severe PTSD, but his organs had not failed. He had performed the most incredible, unbroken feat of oceanic survival in recorded human history. His story forces us to look into the abyss and ask ourselves, if everything was taken away, our society, our food, our sanity, our hope, what kind of animal would we have to become to survive? Subscribe to Echoes in the Dark, new mysteries unsealed every week.